What are some very creepy facts? Dolphins are effing monsters. And although this one isn't as creepy as other comments, but gangs of male dolphins can trap a female, slap her around with their tails, and forcibly F her for weeks. Dolphins are effed up, man. There was a speech made for Apollo 11 if they were to die on the moon. Side fact, if it were to happen, people would look up at the moon knowing that the crew died there, and their bodies would rest there till the end of time. Not forgetting that the ocean is somewhat like this. Many people died there too, at the very depths of the sea. Also, their bodies would not have decomposed because the moon has no oxygen. Instead they would become mummies. Ancient Egyptians hate him. That in China sex toys are made by children. Yo, WTF. One reason that crows and ravens are associated with death is because they would often follow armies as they marched to battle. Being both carrion birds and extremely intelligent, they realized that a large group of armed men marching on one direction meant that there would be a tasty meal of corpses to eat soon afterwards. It wasn't until 1987 that the American Academy of Pediatrics declared it unethical to operate on newborns without anesthesia. Until surprisingly recently, the medical community felt it would be dangerous to give infants anesthesia, and/or believed that they didn't feel pain. There are upwards of 300 active serial killers in the world. Seems low, honestly. 300 is a lot, but out of 8 billion. Famous last words though. The part that's insane to me is that people like BTK and Willie Picton were caught post 2000, but were active for a long time, decades prior. To me that means there have to be some people out there today that have a high body count, and haven't been caught yet. Female mummies in ancient Egypt were always more decomposed than their male counterparts. They discovered that this was because male bodies were embalmed a lot sooner than female bodies. Female bodies were kept at the family home until they started to decompose, in order to avoid necrophilia at the embalmers. Well, that escalated quickly. If Reddit has taught me anything, it's that necrophilia is inevitable. Human brains when they dry out smell like cat piss, that stinky ammonia smell. Worked in an ER for 17 years in Connecticut. Got a gunshot to the head coming, and a chunk fell onto my shoe and didn't notice. While driving home was like, WTF, did my cat piss in the car or something? Went to take my shoes off and there is was. Hey buddy, I think you stepped in some brain matter. A single tiger has killed over 436 people in India. Crocodiles can gallop like a horse. I don't like knowing this, so I am cursing you people with this knowledge as well. Fortunately alligators cannot. So that's how you tell them apart. Yeah, but now I'm confused how to tell a horse and crocodile apart. The stonefish, an incredibly venomous fish living in tropical waters mostly off the coast of Australia and parts of US, can cause pain that only escalates with time. Without anti-venom or denaturing the venom with excessive heat, the pain builds and builds until the patients request euthanasia. Its spines hold the venom, hidden in its dorsal fins. Aboriginals living around the Great Barrier Reef have corroborees, large gatherings, and will during these gatherings hold reenactments of people being stung by this monster, for what I assume is either amusement, learning, or both. I can attest to this. I was scuba diving in the Galapagos through a Discover Scuba thing, because I'm not actually certified. I was with a guide who explained what all the hand signals meant before we went on the dive, but when we went down, I obviously forgot everything because I was having a great time, and he made a weird hand signal. So I decided to stop swimming and put my hand on a piece of coral to stabilize myself. It was a stonefish, and let me tell you, it hurts very bad. I'm honestly grateful I made it to the surface without passing out and spitting out the mouthpiece underwater. I did end up passing out on the boat back to the hospital, and woke up with a nasty headache and still some pain in my hand. All I'm left with now is a scar and a cool story. CNN has had a pre-recorded broadcast from the 90s, which they will premiere during the end of the world. Mount Everest is covered in frozen corpses because removing them is very unsafe and time consuming. They are easily viewed from the climbing routes, and some are used as trail markers. Turn out green boots. What's odd is that although the bodies are prominent, In some cases there is no consensus on their identity. Like over the years 2 different people with a similar description didn't return from their Everest climb, and we know the body is probably one of them, but not sure which. Or is it more creepy that some of the bodies are indeed identified, and somewhere out there is a family who knows full well that their loved one's remains are a landmark on the world's most famous mountain? The Nazino affair. For those who don't want to read the effed up details, in Stalin's Russia, 6,700 people were sent to live in a work camp on an island in a remote part of Russia. They had no supplies, shelter, or tools, and if they tried to leave the island they were shot and killed by Russian soldiers. It took less than 2 months before the people on the island, in their desperation, gave in to a cannibalistic holocaust. Over 4,000 people were killed or went missing in that time. In the end only 300 people made it off the island in one piece. It wasn't until the late 80s that a world tribunal even found out the gruesome details of what went on there. Edit. Someone pointed out the source I linked isn't the best, so here's one with better citations and links to more content on the subject. Just to clarify, there were 2,200 survivors. Just 300 of them were fit for work. Most people smell different when they're awake. That's my favorite thing to whisper. I just whispered this to my wife. She thought it was creepy. Men who are hanged get a death erection, known as rigor erectus. Pretty awkward for the family, I assume. This is the one time I'd advocate using hung instead of hanged. They said you were hung, and they were right. Since 2007, at least 20 detached human feet have been found on the coasts of the Salish Sea. There's a parasite that enters a fish's mouth, eats the tongue, and replaces itself as the fish's new tongue. Serial killer Richard Chase took any unlocked door as an invitation to come inside. This is the example I use every time my husband keeps the door unlocked. If I remember correctly, he thought he was a vampire. This is also not the worst fact about this case. He was severely mentally ill and thought he didn't have enough blood. His solution was to drink blood. So didn't quite think he was a vampire, but close enough. Some species of spitterlings eat their mothers alive. A black mamba is the fastest snake, which can slither at a speed of 12.5 miles an hour, 20 kilometers per hour. They have neurotoxins, which is fast acting. The venom shuts down the nervous system and paralyzes the victim. Its venom is able to kill 10 people and it repeatedly bites. To add on to this, there is an almost 100% kill rate and can kill in 20 minutes. Hearing is the last thing to go after you die. You just might hear the paramedics and firefighters call off CPR. Sometimes an Amber Alert causes kidnappers to panic and kill the kid immediately. At roughly 1100 degrees Fahrenheit, a body takes 2 to 4 hours to be ash. Sense of impending doom is an actual symptom that often precludes your death, usually in cases of heart attack. Very creepy for some of us that suffer from anxiety and panic attacks to begin with. Both share that symptom. If you live to age 70, you will have shed around 105 pounds of skin. Edit, because most seem confused. I mean over time, not all at once. That would be terrible. Ducks become cannibals due to boredom, of all effing reasons. They can only be stopped by cutting off their mouths. Cockroaches have been recorded eating human flesh, both living and dead, as well as fingernails, eyelashes, feet, and hands. The American cockroach and German cockroach are more likely to bite humans than other species. Pretty sure Australian cockroaches do something equally creepy, but as an Australian who plans to sleep at some point in the future, I'm not going to Google it. When you happen to be murdered, there is only an about 40% chance that your murderer will be found and punished. Thanks for the encouragement. Either somebody knows where Malaysia Flight 370 went missing to, or nobody does. Both are equally terrifying. They used real corpses in the 1982 film Poltergeist for the ending pool scene. The actress did not know until after the scene was filmed. An elephant masturbates by slapping its peen on itself. Don't we all? Not creepy. I also masturbate by slapping my peen on an elephant. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily Reddit videos.